Ka-chow, and welcome back to Vol Talk. I'm your host, Lightning McQueen. Allie. Today we're talking to Aaron Dixon, the director of the UT Success Academy. The organization was originally designed to help Black and Hispanic men students make the transition to life at the university so they can succeed. Aaron, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Allie.
Of course. So what has this program accomplished?
Well, I think the original purpose was to increase the ability for Black and Hispanic male students to Can we start over? Can we start over?
Yeah, we
live.
Not really, but yeah, we can start.
Okay. Well, I wasn't. Yeah.
No, you're good. We can start over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because my mind was in explaining the program, so I didn't want to.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
That was a question, right? Oh, accomplish the goals. Okay, that's my bad. Okay. Sorry.
You're doing a good job.
Thanks. Ka-chow, and welcome back to Vol Talk. I'm your host, Lightning McQueen. Allie. Today, we're talking to Aaron Dixon, the director of the UT Success Academy. This organization was originally designed to help Black and Hispanic men students make the transition to life at the university so they can succeed. Aaron, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Allie.
Of course. So with this program, how does it accomplish its goals?
Yeah, well, one of the original goals was to support the retention and graduation rates of Black and Hispanic men on campus. It's not a UT thing, but across the country, retention and graduation rates for Black and Hispanic men are some of the lowest across all racial and gender characteristics of demographics of students. So the university decided to put some funding behind a program that would support these students transitioning to the university, build community, help them with academic belongingness and career development. And over the past 2 years, we've seen an increase in the retention rates, persistent rates of Black and Hispanic men. We haven't gotten to be able to address graduation rates just yet because we're only in our third year of the program. So far it's looking very well for us.
That's amazing. I'm so glad to hear that the numbers are increasing. Yeah. So with the program, have you seen what's it like to see a student go from 0 to 100 with the program? Like, what does that whole process look like?
It differs for the students and for me. I think that students come in with very different experiences. You never know where they are. Some students join Success Academy because they really want community. Some students join because they're looking for the mentorship component. Some join because of the scholarship component that comes with it. And so it kind of depends on what the student is joining for or why did they apply to participate in the program. But I'll tell you that when I see a student who comes into the university not really knowing what they want to do or they do know what they want to do, and they begin to have these experiences with connecting with other people, learning more about themselves and who it is that they want to be. When they have these experiences like internships, I had a student who came in and was passionate about technology but didn't really know exactly what he wanted to do. He built his own computer from the ground up, and to see him excited about that, I think kind of confirmed not only like his interest was what he wanted to pursue in the future, but also just having that passion for doing something that he really, really enjoyed, And so I think seeing a student go from just transitioning into the university and trying to find themselves into actually finding passions about, who they want to be and making it happen is very rewarding on my behalf. So
I was about to say that feeling can feel very rewarding, and to be with them along the whole journey, I can imagine the feeling of that. So with your help in the organization, what does a day in the life look like?
My role has shifted a little bit since we started.
Okay.
So I am the director of the program. When we started, I was a one-person office, and so any day could look like tracking student progress. Seeing they have certain things that they have to do throughout the year, like study sessions, academic coaching meetings. So one day may be tracking progress to see where students are. One may be a day where we're just doing outreach, where we're calling, texting, trying to figure out what's going on with students who we might be concerned about, or just might be doing a general check-in. Some days might be a little bit heavier event planning. Once a month we have these events that we call link-ups, where it's designed to bring all of the students together as a community builder, doing all type of activities. We take students on an all-expense paid abroad trip, up to 25 of them every year.
Oh,
so
wow.
some days is planning that, some days is planning for fall kickoff. The students, they move in 10 days before classes start to kind of get familiar with campus a little bit. So every day looks very different, whether it's from tracking to outreach to academic coaching meetings to study sessions to planning link-up events. It differs a whole lot.
So you have one title, but it seems like you do a lot.
Well, so I mentioned that my role has changed a little bit. Since starting the program, that was our first cohort. Now we have 3 cohorts, but we also have 6 staff who work with us now.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's good. It's not just you anymore.
No way. Now we have nearly 400 students in the program. And so we have an assistant director who primarily oversees our first and second year student progress and outreach. We have 2 academic coaches who are designated to work specifically with our Success Academy students on like personal development, academic development. They help them with like time management, study prep, study skills. We have a experiential learning coach who works with our 3rd year students and helping them find like opportunities, whether it be internships, research, study abroad opportunities. And then we have a coordinator who helps plan all of our social activities. So the link-ups that I mentioned, they do like tonight they have like a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. And so our coordinator is responsible for planning all of the social engagements.
So can students go to these link-ups, or do they have to be in the program first?
We get that question a lot, actually. Some students in the program, they always ask, like, can I bring my friends?
Right.
And we're open to them bringing people in. They're not events that are promoted publicly, so no one would even know about them unless they're in the program. But if someone wanted to bring someone, then we would allow them to come.
Right. So how come they're not promoted publicly?
Well, it's because of funding, right? So like the funding that we have is specifically for the program. Those funds are designated for this specific population. It's not like a campus-wide event that everyone comes to. So all of our main mission and goal is to support, these 390, almost 400 students in the program, and that's primarily why.
Gotcha. So the program started back in 2021. Since then, what growth have you seen with it?
Growth everywhere. Growth in staff, I mentioned, right? A growth in students in cohort size. So we started out, our very first cohort was 113 students. And then we went up to 140 something students. This last cohort was 156. And so even our cohort size is continuing to grow. We've moved spaces. We were previously in Grieve Hall, but now we're in Perkins. We have like a student lounge where they can come in and just enjoy the space. We have like some couches, and they're closer to the academic coaches. So those are 3 big areas: is space, staffing, and cohort size.
Gotcha. So with the academic coaches, is it basically like a tutor for students
Not really.
Okay.
So students, first year students are required to go to like study sessions with a peer learning assistant, which would also be like a tutor almost. But academic coaches are professional staff members who they meet with 3 times a semester. And they're really kind of talking to them more about like, how can you be successful as a student, not only in the classroom, but outside, right? So if a student is having trouble connecting with other people, they're helping them, giving them strategies on how to become more comfortable with putting themselves out there, maybe other avenues of meeting people. They're talking to them about how to best manage their time, especially for first years who are not used to being on their own,
It's very different than high school.
It is. And so it's more of a personal development professional personal development coach than a tutor, I would say, because they're not talking about specific subjects.
Right. They're just helping you like overall with everything in the transition.
Yep. They're thinking about your whole well-being as a person.
Gotcha.
Is the approach. Yeah.
Well, I love that approach rather than just like a tutor and think, because that's just like it's just for school. You think of grades and class and boring stuff. But it's nice to have a program like this, because I remember coming in as a freshman and it being scary, and especially being out of state, it's like, how do you meet people if you're not in a certain group? How do you go to these events and your classmates and the hills? Like it's a big change and it's a lot, and it seems like these students are really having that almost like a fairy godmother to like help them guide them through college.
Yeah, I think one of the primary goals of Success Academy is to serve as a community builder for the students who participate. So I mentioned that they move in 10 days before classes start, and it's really getting them acclimated with the campus, but there's also a lot of team building that happens throughout those 10 days. They also get connected with a peer mentor in the program. So we have about 20 peer coaches is what we call them, who have between 8 and 9 students in each group. So it serves as another community builder along with the events that we have throughout the year. So we put in a lot of work to make sure that we have a number of different spaces for students to feel that they matter and belong, on this campus. So.
Right, and to have that feeling of you matter and you belong, what challenges do you guys run into when you have a student that doesn't feel like that?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that students are coming from all walks of life, right? I think sometimes people, especially when you mention Black and Hispanic men, people think that every Black and Hispanic male or even every white woman has the same experience, right?
Right.
And this is not the truth. And so I think some of the challenges are being able to cater to the very individual needs that every student needs along the journey. But that's why we have a team of people who are intentional about outreach. They're intentional about the conversations that they're having with students. We know that we'll never catch every single student, right? But we're doing everything that we can to meet the needs. So.
That's amazing. So what activities or events do you have to increase that diversity and inclusion?
In terms of helping students feel connected, well, I mentioned that we do the link ups, right? We try to make those as inclusive as possible. They're really just a bunch of opportunities for students to connect with each other, but also a lot of activities for them to learn about like their personal strengths. Have you heard of Clifton Strengths before?
Yes, it's like a test to see like your
it's like your top 5.
Yes, your
talents.
like top personality and your strengths and your weaknesses and
yeah. So we use strengths in a lot of our programming.
Okay.
One, to help students learn more about areas that they are individually strong in, and how do they capitalize off being their authentic selves in spaces using those strengths, as opposed to me saying, so my top strength is responsibility, right? Your top strength might be input, which is not mine. And so if I come into a space and I feel like I have to give so much, I might not be as successful in that space.
Right.
Because input is not my top strength. But from your input, I am an executor. If my top strength is responsibility, I know that I can do. So I contribute by doing instead of necessarily throwing out a bunch of ideas.
Right. Do you think that sometimes your strengths can also be your weaknesses?
100%.
How do you manage
100%.
that?
For the students or for myself?
Honestly, both. We've talked a lot about the students, so.
Yeah, well, I think as a strengths coach, what we try to do is help students see both sides, right? And I talk about my number one as responsibility. It is very helpful in terms of me getting work done, but it hinders me because when people ask me to do things, I say yes a lot.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and so there's definitely both sides of the coin, and we try to show students how, this strength can help and hinder their success along the way. So
Right. It's about finding that perfect balance.
it's about balance. It's about practice. You know, like we call it strengths quest or Clifton strengths now. They don't actually turn into strengths until you practice them. They start out as talents. You know, this is the things that you're naturally talented at, and it takes work to practice and get familiar with, you know, what those talents are, so that they become strengths for you.
I've never thought of it like that. So that's an interesting way to put it, but it's so true. And I can totally relate on the responsibility. And like you said, mine might be input, but sometimes maybe I say too much. So that could definitely be a weakness and downfall. But it's finding that perfect balance. And like you said, everybody comes from a different home life, and whatever happens before college, then to come here and have your own community by yourself, because we don't have our parents here, we don't have our childhood friends, we don't have our neighbors that we see all the time. It's a complete different atmosphere.
Yes.
And balancing that and with everything.
Yeah. It is a challenging process for any first year student. You know, even if you come to college with 5 friends that you went to high school with, right, it's a small chance that you're going to see them inside of the classroom. You know, and so it is the transition into college and through college is a challenging process.
Right, and people change, and change is terrifying.
Yeah, people change. Change is very terrifying, and that's one of the goals of Success Academy, is to help students navigate that change. You know, it's not just change coming into college, but they're changing every day. You know, they're changing who they interact with. They're changing their minds about what they want to do. You know, a lot of people coming to college, like myself, I majored in biology. I thought I wanted to go into orthopedics and work in medicine, but now I work in higher education. You know. And so the transition of thought of, you know, this is what I thought I wanted to do, but this is actually what I'm passionate about, and this is what fills my cup, you know.
Right.
And so helping them through the transition of thought, the transition even out of college, like how do we help students transition from being a college student into the global workforce. So
I know, that's a scary thought.
It is very scary.
I'm a junior, and I'm like already starting to think of like the future after college. I'm like, I just want to stay here. It's fun.
Yeah.
My classes aren't that bad. I like what I'm doing.
I tell you, keep enjoying it while you can.
I am. So we've talked a lot about change. How has this experience changed your life personally?
Oh, that is a good question. I would say, you know, I talk about experiences a lot. I think that it has shown me how different we are as people, you know, and how each of us have something very specific that we need to feel good about ourselves, to feel included, but to also be successful, right? And I think this job for me has shown me what my role is in helping provide the individual support, you know, the individual need, and how important that is in a person's transition through life, you know. My background is in event planning. So I worked in campus events for a while. I worked in the Black Cultural Center for a couple of years also. A lot around student campus events, student activities. And I think those type of events are great because they offer space for a large group of people to come in, you know, and engage. But this job has forced me to meet with students individually,
right,
and understand what those individual needs are, you know, for each person. And so I think that it's just opened me up to how different we are as people, and yeah, I think that's been awesome.
That's a great explanation of it. Do you ever see yourself in these students when they're faced with these problems sometimes?
Oh, 100%. Yes, I was actually just having a conversation with a group today. A student was not doing well in economics, and I told them.
Oh my gosh, I did not do good in econ.
Neither did I. Neither did I, right? And so I told them, when I was in college, I failed 2 classes. I failed Spanish and I failed economics. And I think that even sharing that helps them see they're like, oh, okay, this person did also not have the best experience in that class, and so it's okay.
Right. It creates that comfortability.
Yeah, and for first year students, the University of Tennessee recruits very intelligent students, very intelligent. And so a lot of times when first year students go to college, one of the hard parts is feeling that I have made it this far and I did not need the support that you are trying to tell me that I need, And so I said it in myself. When I went to college, I was like, oh, I graduated with honors. I'm good. I don't need a peer learning assistant. I'm fine. And I see the exact same thing in our group of students who, are a little hesitant to wanting to do some of the things that we're asking them to do, but not quite understanding why we're asking them to do it. And I think being able to share those personal stories helps break some of that stigma,
And it's okay to admit that sometimes you do need help. And I know that's something I definitely struggle with, where it's like you are almost like your ego gets ahead of your mental health and things like that, and you're just like, nope, I got it, I'm fine, like I can figure this out. But having programs like this really does help those students. And what advice do you give to freshmen who think that they're too cool for this, or other sources that they need to do?
Yeah, I tell students a couple things. One, I tell them it's not, you mentioned this, but there's nothing wrong with asking for help. I take them through this thought process. I always ask them to think about who is the greatest person that they know, right? And it could be anybody, like who they admire. It could be a family member, it could be a politician, an athlete, an entertainer. Get an example of two people, Kobe Bryant and Beyonce, right? They have been great since they were young, right? Kobe Bryant went to the NBA out of high school. He was already great. Beyonce was a star when she was young. She was already great.
Oh, for sure.
Already great, right? But Kobe Bryant, when he got to the NBA and before, went to practice before everybody, stayed after practice after everybody, and got to games before everybody. Beyonce is in the studio before everybody. She's in the studio after everybody leaves. She's practicing her choreography all the time, right? And along the way, both of those figures have had some type of coach, and they've had some type of help. Because they're great, it doesn't mean that they didn't need help to be successful. So you're coming into college as this great human being, this great scholar who has done everything that they wanted to do in high school, and they've gotten into the school that they've always wanted to go to, as exactly where they are. They're great, right? My job is to help them stay there. We have coaches. We have people that are there to help them in their process to stay great, right? And so when they graduate, they get a great job, they make great money.
Right.
And so I think breaking it down in that way to help them see that I'm not telling you that you need help because you're not smart enough, or because I don't think you can do it, or that I don't think you can make it. My whole job is to make sure that you have everything that you need to do the things that you say you want to do, right? And that is the fundamental purpose of my job.
So you first wanted to do biology. How did you get into this then? Like, what changed your mind?
I was too involved as an undergraduate student.
Okay.
So I was in undergrad. I was taking my biology classes, but I was also involved with our undergraduate admissions office. I was I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. So part of Greek life. I was MPHC president for a year I was SGA president, and so I was like very involved on campus. And a part of that at my alma mater, Alabama A&M University, shout out to them. A part of that, SGA is responsible for planning homecoming activities and homecoming concert and all those things. And during my time in SGA, I just kind of found a passion for wanting to connect with students and wanting to plan campus activities. And so I found out that's where I was talented there, and I was also passionate about it. And so I decided to, shift my area of interest, honestly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, you have a voice for like being a motivational speaker or for a TED Talk, so it's definitely think something like that. Yeah, it's been so great listening to your perspective of it, because you can see the passion and hear it, and you care about these kids. Like, you see yourself in them, and I think it's very great that you're doing a program like this and that there's something on campus.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been a pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
Of course. So my last question, though, is where do you see the program going in 5 years from now? And what is like your hope of it? Like, what is like the mission statement that, like, if somebody wants to sign up or anything like that, also where do they do that?
Oh yeah, good question.
Yeah, I was like, should ask that first.
So I'll go 5 years from
Okay.
now first. If in 5 years, I would love to see, a program that has a revolving 4-year cohort, because right now we only have 3 cohorts because we just started. I would love to see us rotating 4 cohorts of students through the program. I would love to see our retention and persistence rates still thriving. I would love to see the university's graduation rates increase because of this program. I would love to see how our staff adjusts to the number of students that we'll be expecting. We'll probably have to expand some of our program because of an increase of students. And I have a few other ambitions, but I don't want to speak too much on those because I don't want to get in trouble. But
you can if you want, but it's good to dream big, and it's good to have those goals. And
I would love to see the program continue to grow. I would love for us to see, how our space changes again. I mentioned, we moved from Grieve into Perkins to like a lounge. So I would love to see, how the Success Academy space shapes on campus. If students are interested in joining Success Academy, they have to apply as an incoming first-year student. So after they complete the Success Academy application, after they complete the University of Tennessee application, they can go into the Just For You portal, into the GoVols portal, click the Just For You tab, and then they can apply to Success Academy. It'll literally take them all of 30 minutes. There's like some demographic questions, and then there's an essay question that's a minimum 250 words.
That's not bad at all.
Yep, and so we review those applications from November on through the end of April. Yep.
Long process.
Very long process. A lot of applications.
Well, good luck with the next round of applications.
Thank you.
Like I said, it's been so great hearing you and your story and the program. And like I said, I'm very glad something at UT exists like this.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure being here.
Of course. Well, that's all the time we have for you today. Tune in next week for another episode of Vol Talk, and thanks for watching.